Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Thursday, August 14th, 2025, and on Thursdays we talk about knowledge and science. And the theme for the vlog series is positivity this week. And so we're going to look at the science of positivity briefly and look at an exercise or two that can help us develop our positivity. So if you wanted to build muscle strength, for example, ideally you'd start with regular weight training of some kind, right? Targeting whatever areas you hope to develop. Maybe you use some dietary supplements as well. If you wanted to build up your capacity to be able to play a musical instrument, you'd start training and practicing with that instrument on a regular basis. And the same logic applies to developing aspects of your brain, including the ability to think positively. The research shows that positive thinking actually helps you to change the structure of your brain and build new neural pathways. Yes, you can actually do positive brain workouts and disrupt negative thinking patterns and replace those and create long-term changes in brain functioning. It's what we call neuroplasticity. We used to think that our brains are relatively fixed and unchanging. No longer. Our brains are not fixed. They're dynamic. They're ever changing and evolving and responding to the environments we expose them to. And so we can actually learn to rewire our brains to a certain degree or within certain kind of natural limits, if you will. Like think of your ability to run faster or jump higher. If you train specifically to work on those areas physically, right? Could you improve? Of course you could. With a regular training program, the right technique, etc., you could end up improving your speeds. You could jump a little higher. Absolutely. Could you then eventually run as fast as Usain Bolt or jump as high as your favorite basketball player or high jumper? Absolutely not. You have to work with the materials that you have. So I can train, I can improve my long distance running, and I've been training for several months now, but I'll never be able to match the times that I had from 30 years ago. That's fine. I can develop, I can still improve. So back to the brain. Your brain then can adapt and learn new things as well, obviously, including new languages. Again, within certain individual level limits, shall we say. And then that applies to positivity in our thinking. It's all about our willingness to commit to a course of action and a training program, okay? And then following through. For example, I have a sister who decided after our mother passed a year ago, February, she decided to start exercising. And I mean, she'd exercised in the past, but she started to re-engage in a very rigorous program. And she changed her dietary and sleeping habits as well, so that she could get herself back into peak shape, at least for a mid-60-year-old woman, shall we say. So she goes to bed by 10 or 10:30 every night. She tries to get about 8 hours of good sleep, and then works out for about 2 hours, or at least, often more, each morning. And she doesn't eat after 6 p.m. at night or before 10 a.m. in the morning. So she's basically had this sort of self-imposed fast for 16 hours, and then she has an 8-hour window when she's able to eat. Do you think that might have some kind of an effect on her body or physically, and not to mention her mental well-being as well? Well, suffice it to say, she's dropped over 30 pounds over the last year. She looks basically as fit at 65, almost 65, as she did 30 or 40 years ago. Okay? But that required a huge commitment, obviously, on her part, and the discipline then to stick with the new program and lifestyle. And it's unbelievable what she's been able to do. So my point is that we need to apply that same kind of commitment, dedication, and so forth to developing our positivity. We have to take that systematic approach, have that commitment, and we can actually then start to change the neural pathways and how we think about the world. And we can basically, what I'm saying is we can actually practice positive thinking. And if we do that regularly, we're going to, again, activate the neural pathways in our own brains, and we're going to strengthen our capacities in that regard. Just like, doing curls on a dumbbell or what have you, right? And if you do the, if you pick up the dumbbells and you do the curls long enough or, on a consistent basis, what happens? They feel lighter and lighter. It gets easier and easier. And similarly, the positive thoughts, if we practice, can start to flow more efficiently and more easily with practice as well. So yes, we can actually practice positive thinking and give ourselves a brain workout, okay? There are any number of different workout strategies then that you can follow. Especially, you can just look up positive psychology online and you'll find all sorts of different recommendations and YouTube channels and that sort of thing. And so today I'm just going to mention one of my personal favorites, and this is something I talked about in an earlier vlog as well. I really love gratitude exercises. And in fact, there was just a study that was just published recently by Mariah Purol and William Chopik. And they found that just doing brief gratitude lists of only 3 items can lead to healthier outcomes. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check out their research in greater detail. So what do you do? Well, it's quite easy. All you have to do, in fact, you can do it right now. Okay? All you need to do is just take a few moments, maybe close your eyes, and then think about the first things that come into your mind that you're grateful for. What are you grateful for in your life? What are you grateful for right at this moment? Okay? So for me, the first thing I thought of, I'm grateful that I have the ability to put out a YouTube video. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to share some information, hopefully make a positive difference in the world. And then my mind starts to wander and I start thinking about other things too that I'm grateful for. And it doesn't have to be anything particularly profound, right? But what I would recommend is that you then, as you think of the things that you're grateful for, you can actually type them into your computer or your phone or whatever device you have. But to really have an impact, my recommendation is that you actually get a physical journal of some kind. And so that's what I've done here. So a physical journal, and actually take the time to write down 3 things that you're grateful for, okay? And this becomes, a permanent record, a historical record of yours that not only documents what you've been grateful for in the past or what you were thinking about previously, but it can also help inspire you or remind you at times, especially if we start feeling down or we start questioning what we're doing or whatever the case may be, okay? And the writing engages us more, I think, physically and mentally and emotionally too than the typing does. And some of you are really good typists, I get that. But the point is it forces us to sort of slow down and, cognitively and with our physical writing. I'm a terrible writer, by the way, but I can write, I can print neatly enough and just write down the things that you're grateful for. And as you do that, you're sort of reinforcing in your brain the different ideas, the different things that are positive, that, again, for which you are grateful, okay? And so, yeah, it just requires a few seconds more, a few minutes more to do that, okay? And don't be judgmental. It can be, even the smallest of things, like, I'm grateful that I could buy this notebook, that I had this available to me, right? Or I'm grateful for the eggs that I had at breakfast this morning. Or I'm grateful I'm feeling good today, that I'm not feeling sick, Whatever. There's 1,000 things that you could be grateful for, however small, seemingly insignificant. It all counts, okay? And again, you don't have to go on and on. Literally from the article, and as I say, you look at the link below, you only need to do 3 things, or identify 3 things that you're grateful for. You don't have to do 6 or 8 or 10 or a dozen. I mean, you can if you want. But the research seems to indicate that you really only need to do a small number. And three actually works, for example. Okay, so again, ideally do that every day, every morning when you wake up. And in fact, let's do a little experiment. We'll do this for next week. And I'll do it with you, okay? So again, what I'll do every day for the next week, and maybe you try this as well, is I'm going to start each day. Actually, first I'm going to start each day by doing 2 things. First, I'm going to think of something positive, something happy, okay? Something that just, for that day, what's the first thing that I think of that I'm really happy about, feeling good about in the morning? Yeah, there might be other stressors and things happening, but I'm going to force myself to say, what am I really happy about first? Okay. And then I'm going to actually write down in this journal 3 things each day that I'm grateful for. The first 3 things that I think of. And again, without judgment, what are they? And if I feel like it, maybe I'll put a couple more in, right? It's up to me, it's up to you. So let's do that, okay? And we'll see what happens in just 1 week time, okay? Our little experiment. I'll report back to you. You can share in the comments or report if you like as well. And by the way, you can turn your thinking positive thoughts and the things that you're grateful into a whole book of yours, a whole history, if you will. And this is again, it can be a real positive reinforcer on its own. You can also do things, by the way, just on the side. You could do a gratitude jar. Have you heard of those? So you just have a jar, and literally every time you think of something or randomly, or just from time to time, you stop by and you write it down and you drop a sliver of paper, whatever, snippet, and you just drop it into the gratitude jar and let that fill up, if you will, over time. So that has symbolic and reinforcement value as well. And then the other thing that you can do, and I've talked about this before as well, is you could just send out little thank you notes from time to time. Okay, I don't mean because you're trying to suck up to somebody, but really mean it. Really express your gratitude, your thanks for what they've done. Just show your appreciation. And it could be in a business environment, or somebody did a good job, or somebody helped you out, in whatever sphere of your life. However small or however big, but as long as you're sincere and expressing, that the ability to express that appreciation and that kindness, almost always has a positive impact, not only the other person who likes to hear thanks, most of us like to be appreciated, but of course it reinforces our own positive feelings and thoughts as well. And then hopefully that has a bit of a waterfall effect, and the person then who's receiving the thanks might also extend that to others, or pay it forward in whatever ways they can, okay, and express thanks to others in their lives. Okay, and thank you then for listening today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hitting the like button if you choose to do that. And as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs and positivity in abundance. And thanks for listening. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.